Dear students, today we are going to learn the theories of punishment. According to social contract theory, men join together to form the state for self-preservation and harmony. Thus, the formation of state requires regulation of conduct and punishment is the means to enforce obedience. Punishment is to prevent the perpetration of acts classified as criminal, to coerce or to deter culprits, to realize and reform, to undo injustice. Punishment is identified by infliction of pain or penalty on a wrongdoer. Jeremy Bentham had defined punishment as an evil resulting to an individual from the direct intention of another on account of some act that appears to have been done or omitted. In other words, the objective of punishment can be summed up into various categories. Firstly, to protect the society from mischievous and undesirable elements. Secondly, by deterring potential offenders. Thirdly, by preventing the actual offenders from committing further offences. And fourthly, transforming the tainted convicts into law-abiding citizens. These categories are broader themes of punishments. According to Bentham, punishment, whatever shape it may assume, is an evil. Therefore, before subjecting a person to evil, the state must justify reasons for imposition of such pain. Now, as we have discussed the background, we will move to discuss different theories of punishment, and at the same time we will also critically analyze pros and cons of these theories. First theory is retributive theory of punishment or vengeance theory. It is a concept of primitive society which consists of injury inflicted by way of retaliation by victim of crime on actor of crime, which requires the existence of victim as well as a wrongdoer. Its idea is severity of punishment, where victim of crime inflicts the retaliatory harm that expulses the crime. Modern legal system has given up the vengeance theory because of its heinous, barbaric and uncivilized nature of punishment. Retributive theory is based on rights, desert and justice. The guilty deserve to be punished and no moral consideration relevant to punishment outweighs the offender's criminal desert is the philosophy of retributive theory. Retributive theory replaces private punishment by institutionalizing punishment on structure of law and state in organized manner. Immanuel Kant, who discussed the concept of punishment in the first half of the Metaphysics of Morals, considers guilt is a sufficient condition for justifying punishment. As we have discussed earlier about individual autonomy, we can relate to Kant's idea. For Kant, human being is free man and enjoys rights in the legal system based on the dignity of humanity. When any person interferes with the other's right, he forfeits and gives up his own right and submits him to others' interference in his life as legitimate. Kant calls it as moral authorization. Now, let us have a look at the merits of the theory. Retributive punishment is neither cruel nor barbaric, but civilized because inflicted punishment is proportionate to the crime, that is just. Utility theory recommends more punishment than the profit of crime. Retributive is impartial and neutral. By inflicting proportionate punishment to the crime, it considers the interest of wrongdoer and society equal. Reformative theory gives more weight to interest of criminal, and for deterrent theory, priority would be social interest than criminal. Retributists always treat the human being with dignity and honor by saying that the punishment is an end in itself and not means to an end. However, utilitarian treat the person either as a commodity or animal because his punishment is used as means to teach lessons to others to prevent crimes which degrades the human value. Hallmark of retributive theory lies in its nature of mercy. Once a criminal pays his debt to the society in the form of punishment, his sin is expiated and he is admitted back to the mainstream of society again. This kind of philosophy is missing in the deterrent punishment. Every theory has demerits. Weakness of retribution is focusing more on criminal, his guilt, sufferings and his feelings likely to glorify them. There is a total rejection of claim of victims of crime. Retributists have failed to elaborate any guidelines or principles for proportionate punishment that makes difficult task for judges to measure punishment for crimes. Object of punishment is not only punishing the criminal but to prevent the crime in future also. Punishment is means to an end and not an end itself. Kant's philosophy of murder warrants death sentence as not acceptable to the modern civilized society. Now, let's move to the next theory, reformative theory of punishment. The object of punishment has been considerably under the process of changes from the last centuries because of welfare state concept. Let us give human touch to criminal law and reduce the brutalities of punishment is the today's philosophy of law. Reformist looks at the sanction as instrument of rehabilitation and tries to mold the behavior of criminal on the premises that criminal is not born but made by environment of society. Therefore, it is the responsibility of the society to reform him by adopting certain suitable methods. Now, let us discuss the demerits of the theory. Reformative theory expects better infrastructure and facilities in prison, proper coordination between different disciplines and persistent effort on their part to mold criminal. It requires huge investments which poor countries cannot afford. Millions of innocent people who have high regards for law are finding difficult to get basic amenities, postulates ethical justification for providing better facilities inside prison. Moreover, the rationality of theory is more towards incentives for commission of crime rather than prevention. Reformation can work out on those people who can be reformed. There are people who cannot be reformed like hardcore criminal, highly educated and professional criminals. Further, it overlooks the claims of victims of crime. Corrupt social environment is responsible for crime but not individuals. It is the philosophy of reformative which is hard to digest. Third one is deterrent theory of punishment. Bentham treats the committed offences as an act of past that should be used as opportunity of punishing the offenders in such a way that the future offences could be prevented. Granville Williams says deterrence is the only ultimate object of punishment. Punishment or sanction is before all things deterrent, and the chief end of law of crime is to make the evildoer an example and warning to all that are like-minded with him. This kind of threat is commonly described as specific or individual deterrence. Specific deterrence works in two ways. First, an offender would be put in prison to prevent him from committing another crime for specific period. Second, this incapacitation is designed to be so unpleasant that it will discourage the other offender from repeating his criminal behavior. When individual deterrence is used as means to send message across society is called general or community deterrence. The fourth theory of punishment is preventive theory of punishment. Even utilitarian like Bentham advocated the preventive remedies which tend to prevent offences. That some individual need to be restrained is hardly debatable proposition. Even staunchest advocate of Reformation theory would not contend that a convicted, unreformed, dangerous criminal ought to be without restraint while he is being reformed. The target of sanction as incapacitation is criminal himself, and protection comes by physically separating criminal from the victim and potential victim, that denies him ability and opportunity to commit further crime. Preventive philosophy is the best mode of punishment because it serves as effective deterrent and also useful preventive measure. The effectiveness of preventive theory much depends upon promptness and proportion factor. The delay in inquiries or investigation by public authority makes sanction ineffective. The effectiveness of sanction is further scaled down as courts grant bail to accused on the ground that the accused presumed to be innocent until guilt is proved. There is considerable dispute as to who should be restrained and how long. Confinement should involve the least restraint needed to furnish reasonable protection against crime. The last theory is compensatory theory of punishment. Criminal justice system is incomplete is a major allegation made by the victims of crime, which is in fact true. The entire focus of criminal justice system is on the offender to punish him or to seek his reformation and rehabilitation with all resources and goodwill available through courts and other governmental and non-governmental agencies. The victims of crimes are, on the other hand, forgotten people in the system. Compensation to victim of crime rests primarily on two grounds. Firstly, a criminal who inflicted injury against persons or property must compensate for the loss, and second, a state that failed to protect victim must pay compensation to him. The United Nations General Assembly in 1985 adopted the declaration known as Basic Principles of Justice for Victims of Crime and Abuse of Power, which deals with the concept of compensation. Thus, to conclude, we can say that each theory of punishment has its own merits and demerits. Therefore, criminal justice would not be healthy if it relies on any one theory of punishment. A combination of preventive, reformative and compensatory theory will be the best way to justify punishment. Thank you.